What is up, YouTube? DemonWaffle here, and I am back at you guys with some new content that I've probably never really done before. E3. We're going to talk about E3. There you go, straight up. I'm pretty much going to be going over the live press conference, and then I'll probably briefly talk about what they showed at Treehouse today, because that was some really cool stuff. But basically, we're just going to go over how hype I am about everything. And first off, I just wanted to say that it's been a while, and I will be coming back with new content, so there you go. I'm going to be coming back with Switch content. I own a Switch. I will be getting a video recording box, whatever you want to call it. I'm really not in the mood to think right now. It's way too late. And then I will be coming at you guys with some content, I promise. And probably some other content, but mostly Nintendo, because obviously Nintendo's the best. So we're going to start now, and I'm basically just going to kind of skip through this video. Sorry that there's going to be like a UI on it. I really don't care. But I'm just going to be going through the entire video, pretty much talking about everything. So at the very beginning, we're going to get a... if you guys haven't watched E3, please don't watch this. There's just going to be spoilers everywhere, so please don't watch this if you haven't watched E3. Basically, we start off with this video that is basically just showing all the new games in like a really quick trailer. You guys can definitely take a watch at this. But basically they're just kind of showing off like the fact that it's portable and you can take it anywhere you go and that you can play games online. What they still don't talk about in all these videos is how these people are connecting online. Because obviously not all the games are going to be local multiplayer. Like they just showed Rocket League, which obviously has some local multiplayer, but I mean they're not going to have four split screens on a multiplayer in Rocket League. So they're definitely, you need some sort of internet connection on the go. My car has internet, for example, so that's what I use when I'm out. I use my car's Wi-Fi, so if I meet up with somebody, that's what I personally do. So we're gonna kind of skip through this whole thing. So next, one of our favorite people in the world, if you guys are Nintendo fans, comes out, and he's the representative from the United States, Nintendo of America. His name's Reggie, and he talks about just kind of talking about taking the game on the go, what it changes you, blah blah blah. He kind of just gives an inspirational message, then he doesn't show up the rest of the conference. Basically their conference was different than everybody else because they didn't actually have anybody hosting it. They kind of just let it go and they just played it, and it was like a half hour long, super short compared to Microsoft and Sony, where theirs are like an hour to 2 hours long, and they had somebody up on stage. Actually Miyamoto, the obviously head of Nintendo, was at the Sony conference because he was with Ubisoft, and we'll talk about that game later. But first, we're going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles. So this trailer here, as you can see, I'm going to take the mouse off the screen there. So first off, it just pops right into it. There's no like warning, there's no anything. It's just like, hey, by the way, this is the thing. If you guys are excited about Xenoblade, I've never actually played one personally. As the driver of the Aegis. Of the Aegis. They use so many very common words to me. But I've never actually played a Xenoblade, so this will be my first one. I'm definitely excited for it. The combat looks super, super smooth, and they actually showed about an hour and a half, about probably 45 minutes to an hour worth of gameplay at the Nintendo Treehouse today, which was really cool. So if you guys haven't seen the Nintendo Treehouse, I'm just going to briefly talk about it at the end of the video, and I'll probably talk about it throughout the video because they show every single game during the conference that they actually show footage of. They kind of show like a playthrough, like you'll actually see combat here, but they actually played like 45 minutes of actual content of each game at Nintendo Treehouse, which is really cool. So if you guys haven't seen that, please go take a look. Really, really sweet stuff. So we're just going to kind of skip through this. It's basically just showing off just some cutscenes from the game, I'm assuming. Some really cool boss looking dudes in this. Definitely a lot of obviously Japanese references in games. As you know, a lot of these games are ported over from Japan, and they start in Japan, so a lot of the games have this like the anime vibe, which this one has obviously one of the more anime vibes than a lot of other games. It's your typical RPG. The combat is super, super smooth. There's different if you do watch the Nintendo Treehouse, you'll see that there's like different what's a good way to explain it? Each character, you have like one main character, and then you have different blades, and then you'll have different attunements for each blade that do different things. So like I'll unlock this blade and it'll give me these 4 moves, and I'll unlock a different blade and it'll give me these 4 moves, and different moves can do different things. And then obviously you have a party, and it's like a typical RPG, but the combat looks really, really smooth. It definitely has a like you have to pick targets, you have to make sure you get your team ready and everything like that before you go in, so that's pretty cool. And then they give us a holiday release date, which I believe later they actually put a release date on that. I don't know off the top of my head. And then we're gonna we'll see this real quick.
Stone cold hero with an insatiable appetite.
So first thing, what's your first impression on it? That mine, I was like, oh, here we go, Skyrim on the Wii or Skyrim on the Switch, because that's what everyone's been talking about, because Bethesda showed that Skyrim would be on the Switch with motion controls. So first thing I'm like, okay, sword wielding, gotcha. And I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose, because fire wielding, he can shoot fire out of his hands in Skyrim. And then Stone Cold, and I'm like, okay, it's obviously Skyrim, like, come on. And then Kirby comes on, and I am just... So I watched this at work today, right? And I work at a game studio, so, everyone was watching it, and I saw this, and I just lost my mind, because I am obsessed with side-scrolling Kirby games. I love them all the side-scrolling Kirby games. I've been playing them since I was a kid, since the original one on the NES and the SNES, and the entire lineup I've been playing, even the Game Boy ones I played. And then obviously the last few years I dropped off because I haven't had much of the new Nintendo games. But this just looks, it takes me back. Basically it's a very, very short trailer, but it just shows you that the game is another Kirby game. And it's got Kirby powers and you do Kirby things. And that is the greatest thing I could say, because I love Kirby games. But as you can see, he actually kind of takes a team with him, which is different. So he kind of takes computers. So basically how the game works actually is you can actually do multiplayer. So if my buddy wanted to come over, he want to pick up a Joy-Con, cool, we can play 2 players. I have 4 Joy-Cons, so obviously he comes over, let's play, boop boop boop, cool. My wife wants to play, and our buddy wants to play, and we can get 4 people, and we can all play as different characters, and then we suck up different things, or we play as different characters. But the cool thing about playing a single player or 2 people is you can actually recruit people in the game with this heart feature that they show. This actually wasn't at Nintendo Treehouse that I watched. They throw little hearts at people, and then so they recruit them onto your team instead of just having you by yourself, which is kind of an interesting concept. So I'm sure a lot of the gameplay will require multiple people with different powers and things like that, which will be interesting. But I thought that was kind of cool. So you feel like you're not just playing by yourself when you are playing by yourself. And you can tell later that there is a multiplayer, because they'll show it. Here you go. You have 2-player, so 2P obviously would represent that there was a second player in the game. I don't know if you can actually play up to 4 players. I'm assuming you can, because at the bottom, it showed the UI straight up shows it. And then actually that was a pretty important little piece there. They show the overhead map, which a lot of these old school Nintendo games are starting to get. That's after this. Here we go. This overhead map, if you guys have played Mario 3D World or Woolly World, and then all these new games that are coming out, and we'll talk about Mario plus Rabbids later. But the overhead menu, the overhead world, is something that I really, really am enjoying. I really like the concept of it, and I think it fits perfectly for Kirby. We always had an out of world Kirby where you'd go to map to different doors. You go in different doors. You go to the level. There's always mini games and stuff in there. So it's a really good layout for Kirby. So I thought that was interesting. And then we fight a tree like you do in every Kirby game. And then I believe he just talks about, he just kind of was talking, there's not much to talk about. He just basically says, thanks for making Nintendo Switch so great. And then he brings in the guy from Pokemon. He is from Game Freak, I believe. And he is one of the directors of Pokemon. And he's just straight up says, well, I'll let you hear it.
Switch. This is the latest version of the premier Pokemon.
Okay. Oh, says it after the Pokemon release, I believe.
In the meantime, let's enjoy this year's E3.
Sorry.
Game Freak has begun developing a core RPG Pokemon title on Nintendo Switch.
Core RPG Nintendo title, or Pokemon title on the Nintendo Switch. So, now I'm sure everyone's freaking out about this on YouTube. Basically, what this means is we're going to get some sort of RPG type game on the Switch. So, Pokemon. is an RPG. So we're actually gonna get some sort of Pokemon RPG, you know, red, silver, gold, you know, or the latest Sun and Moon. We're gonna get something like that on the Switch. There's not a lot of information, but he says that there is one in development. So there was a Nintendo Direct last week that everyone was like, oh, we want Pokemon, and that's fine. You want Pokemon all you want. But then they showed, they started off with Pokemon's coming to the Switch, and everyone's like, oh my god, yeah. And then they said that it's going to just be Pokken DX, which is just a remake of Pokken Tournament, which came out for the Wii U, which was one of the last titles for the Wii U. So everyone was a little disappointed, and they brought up Ultra Sun and Moon, and that was cool to an extent. I'm going to be buying Sun and Moon again for the same price. It's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, there'll be more content, like Black and White 2. We'll see. But then he says right now that we're actually going to get a type Sun and Moon type game for the Switch, and that it's in development, and it won't be a port, obviously, because it's in development. So we're going to get a new Pokemon game for the Switch. Obviously, it probably won't be till like 2020. Sorry, but they take a long time to make. These games aren't just super easy to make. So that's that. I mean, that's good news for us as, you know, gamers. But I just want to make sure that got covered. And then he just talks and blah blah blah. Okay, and then I'm sure you just saw. And then this comes on, and I lost it because we were caught off guard, right? No one thought there would be another Metroid game. Everyone thought that Metroid Prime was done. And then all of a sudden they show this. Oh, it's now in development for the Nintendo Switch. Where the heck did this come from? No one knew anything about this until right now. And that just blew my mind. We were screaming, and everyone was freaking out. And I personally never have played any of the Metroid Prime games. I actually played more of the Metroid games, like on SNES, Super Metroid. And so I never really got into Metroid Prime. But now that I know that it's coming, and I know that I have a Switch, obviously, I will be playing it. I will be bringing it to the channel if I can get a capture card soon enough. Obviously, this shouldn't be out for another 2 years, so I definitely should have a capture card by then. But yeah, so that's exciting. We were just more blown away by that. And then, so we get a first look at the new Yoshi game. So, okay, if you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, we played Yoshi, and we played Yoshi's Story. And that was for the 64, and this is the closest thing we've got to it, but we did get Woolly World, which is actually pretty similar to Yoshi's Story. You throw eggs. It's the first game we really got in a long time that had the same concept, where you throw eggs, you suck up people, you get eggs, and you do things with them, and you throw them at things, and you there's puzzles that require you to throw eggs. This game doesn't look like Woolly World because he doesn't actually look like he's made of wool. In Woolly World, everything was made of wool, and he was very woolly, right? But this one, like you just saw, has some new features like flipping the entire game around, so you're not looking at the back of the map when you're playing on the back of the map. But the characters don't look like they're made of yarn. When you throw the balls, they don't blow up like yarn. So I'm thinking it's just a Yoshi game, but it looks very Paper Mario, 3D Paper Mario style. Has the same type of graphics where like everything's drawn. But if you actually think back to the original Yoshi Story, they had the same concept, like everything was drawn and things like that. But it's just called Yoshi so far. That's the only title we have, and it comes out in 2018. And next, I believe we get the next Fire Emblems game in the lineup, which is really cool because I've actually watched Shady Penguin, and he plays a lot of Fire Emblem games, so I kind of follow that. Never really actually personally played a Fire Emblems game, and if it was one, I would have played it like back on Game Boy Advance. I wasn't really into turn-based RTS games back in the day. So this is kind of cool. Like, I'm excited. But then I was like, oh, Fire Emblems. Then I realized it was just Fire Emblems Heroes, or Fire Emblems Warriors, which is basically. We got the Zelda Hyrule Warriors 4 years ago, which is basically just Dynasty Warriors crossed with characters from this will be from the Fire Emblems series, and there's also new characters in the series as well, which is really cool. So but you get to play as some pretty iconic Fire Emblem characters, and you just fight mobs of bad guys, and you have tactical battles where you just fight a bunch of guys. You got to capture these points, you got to protect these people, or move and all your characters in one spot. They did show this at Treehouse, and there was some really cool features that maybe I'll talk about it later. I might not though, because I'm not gonna go over all of Treehouse. I want to leave you guys some stuff to look up and watch yourselves. This is what I want to skip over because no one cares. Well, before that, sorry. Basically, they announced the Skyrim crossover again, and they say that Skyrim is coming to the Switch. You will get Joy-Cons, which you'll have motion control with Joy-Cons. And if you get it for the Switch, you will get a Breath of the Wild Link mod, basically, which just makes your characters reskin and look like Link in Skyrim, which it looks terrible. If you guys are fans of Skyrim like I am, I was there at midnight on 11/11/11 when Skyrim came out, and I was happy with the original outcome, and then they remade it, and then they re-released it, and then they remade it, and then they re-released it, and then they modded it, and now it's just, I don't want to play it anymore. I've played so much hours of that game, I'm just over it. And when it comes to the Switch, I won't be getting it. I'm not interested at all. But thanks for trying, Nintendo. You finally got into the Elder Scrolls series, so I'm hoping at least the next Elder Scrolls down the line, you guys might be included in the launch. Who knows? So we can just basically go over that. And yeah, and then they go straight into the new expansion for Breath of the Wild, which is really exciting. I actually haven't finished the game. I'm taking my time. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so good." Well, I'm just taking my time. I don't want to rush myself through it because I will regret it 100%. I know I will not be happy with myself if I just rush it. So, I'm taking my time. I'll probably hop back on it pretty soon and finish it up because the DLC comes out super soon. I was not prepared for DLC for this game to be coming out on the 30th of this month. If you guys didn't know that, there is new expansion to the storyline coming out on the 30th of this month. So you guys need to make sure you get that if you are as fans of Breath of the Wild. I will definitely be getting it. And what's even cooler is the next two expansions are coming out this year, and they're $20 for both of them. So, or for Game Pass, which I believe includes the first three expansions. So the first two will be this year, and there'll be one more. The second one, they introduced... I'll show you at the end of this video, actually. They introduced, this is the DLC number 1 pack. This is going to be it's called Master Trials. It's a new expansion. I don't know a lot about it. They didn't talk about it at Treehouse at all. So we'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm really glad they didn't talk about it at Treehouse because DLC is something like, there's not a lot of it, so I don't want it to be spoiled. So I'm glad they didn't really show anything except for some basic gameplay of it in the video. And they talk about basically, you can unlock these characters. So here you go. And the Champion's Ballad is what it's called. Let's see if I can back it up just a second. This is going to be DLC pack number 2. And this is going to be coming out where I believe you're going to be able to play as these characters. I don't know 100% exactly what it entails. But they did say there will be amiibos for each of these characters. I believe they actually show them. I don't know if they do. Yeah, so they show off the amiibos. You can look at them if you want. I'm really not like... I'll get an amiibo if it's for something I really, really want. Like, I'm going to be getting the amiibos for probably Metroid because it looks really cool. I'll definitely be getting at least one Mario Odyssey amiibo. I'll probably get another Splatoon one. But there's just, I have to want it really bad.
Travel the world. Bring people together. Play anywhere with anyone. If video gaming is a journey, then anywhere has to include a stop right here in LA during Easter.
So I believe they talk about they are doing tournaments today. Yeah, so they did the Splatoon 2 World Inkling, and they did an ARMS tournament. I didn't stay to that's tomorrow. So I'll probably watch that at work. The Pokemon Tournament DX. Talk about ARMS Invitational, which the actual invitational starts the 14th. The game comes out on the 16th. So yeah, I mean. Okay, so we'll talk about those games real quick since they didn't really show them. I haven't talked about them personally to you guys yet because it's my first video in a long time. ARMS. If you haven't played it, play it. Pick it up. It's going to be a fun game. The fast-paced unexpectedness of the multiplayer is well worth the money overall total. I had a lot of fun just playing online, playing with my brother. It's a blast. The depth of the fighting actually is pretty breadth, which people don't understand that these games, they look super, super basic on the outside, but in-depth actual tactics, there's a lot to them. That's something Nintendo does really well, like Splatoon. Like it's a super basic shooter, but there's so much more that can happen in that game that can't happen in any other type of fighting game, or any other type of third-person multiplayer shooter. But ARMS really fun. The close combat is insane. The amount, like I said, the amount of skill it can take to be good. I played and I'm decent, and I would be getting destroyed by some people that are amazing, and I'd be destroying other people that aren't as amazing. And it's crazy how much skill gap there is in that game and how much mastering it's going to take. I'll pick it up. It'll be fun. It's something that'll tide me over until Splatoon 2, which is my next game I'm going to briefly talk about. New storyline. So if you guys haven't played Splatoon 1 and you weren't interested in Splatoon 1, I don't recommend getting Splatoon 2. It's not going to be much different than the first one in the fact that the gameplay is very, very similar. There's no wild overhauls of the gameplay. It's going to be pretty similar. Some weapons are going to be changed. There's new weapons added, new specials added, but overall the gameplay is pretty similar. The only thing that I would recommend you getting the game for is if you haven't played it and you do want to give it a chance, try it out. It's worth the time. I love the single player of the first one. It was very, very short, but it was really fun. The single player in this one actually has a pretty big storyline from what I've been hearing. Some of the main characters from the first one get in a big fight and it becomes this huge thing in the second one, so that'll be fun. Also, they actually have a lot of big events, which a lot of these games don't really, they say they're going to have and then they don't have. Splatoon had like at least 5 or 6 events last year. Or 2 years ago. I guess the game has been out for 2 years. And they're, like just events where you get to do a poll and then whichever team wins gets double XP for this weekend, and like small stuff like that. The stuff that we want in a game that are just keep you interested for a little while. But the new rank system's awesome. When the new online services are released for Switch, they will take advantage of that, so that's great. But those are the 2 basic games that they're talking about here. And then Pokken DX I won't talk about really at all, other than if you like the first Pokken, get this one. If you didn't like the first Pokken, save your money. It's a port over. They're adding 5 new, I believe they're adding 5 total new Pokemon. And then all the assist Pokemon are probably going to be unlocked at the beginning. I liked Pokken. I didn't love it. I liked it. It was fun for 2 weeks. And then I set it aside and just went back to Smash. Also, no Smash, nothing shown for Smash, which is fine. I was not expecting any Smash related news, other than maybe them saying there is no Smash related news. So that's fine. I don't want any Smash for a couple of years. We just got Smash 4. I mean, it's been barely maybe 2 years, and I would rather them remake it with new characters, like Splatoon characters, and they just added a brand new fighting game. I would love to see a couple ARMS characters in it, some Splatoon characters as main characters. They're going to have a whole nother set of Fire Emblem characters to use. They're going to have Xenoblade characters to use. They're going to have so many choices, and I think that they need to overhaul most of the main characters in the game because they're fun characters. They are. I love Marth and Roy. Oh, Roy's not the new one. And I love the characters they use, but they're old. And then they brought in new characters like Duck Hunt and, Big Mac. Is that his name? Mac. Little Mac. Opposite of Big Mac. And they added these new characters, and they were really good, and I'm glad they did. But it's time to rehaul everybody. We don't need all the main characters that we had in the original ones. We don't need all those basic Pokemon that we use. We used to use Jigglypuff and Pichu. I like Pichu, but I don't need him anymore because I would rather have them include new characters or keep all the old characters, add a whole bunch of new characters, and just make the roster humongous. That's fine. It's more hard to balance. It's fine. It's no big deal. Just make it bigger. Add new characters. I want the new Mario in it. I want the basic Mario. I want the Mario with that ass hat and he throws the hat and shit instead of, just the basic Mario that uses the cape and uses fireballs. I want Rabbids from the new Mario Rabbids game. I want them in my game. I want Rabbids Yoshi that does some crazy freaking bazooka shit. Or Rabbids Luigi. Totally off topic, but I want to Smash, but I don't want it for another 2 or 3 years so we can get some stuff under the table and get it ready before and not just port over the same game. So then he talks about, okay, so now we're getting to the game I am most excited for this year. Hands down, other than Odyssey, this is the most exciting game. I am so excited. You guys have no idea. So basically, the rabbits have invaded the Mushroom Kingdom, and we get to see, well, I kind of skipped a good chunk of it, so let's back it up a little bit. The game is basically if you haven't played XCOM, it's hard to relate to any other game, but it's a turn-based game that is all combat. So like as you can see here, you move behind things, you take cover, you use your cover, you strategize, you bring certain people to battle because you don't want to bring certain, you don't want to bring everybody. You want to bring this and that guy, and you want to bring a tank and a healer and a couple range DPS and maybe one melee DPS. Like you have to bring a team of people that you want, and it's strategy, and there is more to it than just Mario games. There's more than just your typical jump and smash blocks. Like there's so much more to the game. You have a home base, which they show in the Treehouse, that you can upgrade your weapons, upgrade your characters. You can go to new places. It's just crazy how much stuff they add in this game, and it made me super happy to see it. I hope you guys pick it up. It's gonna be super fun. I hope they have some sort of multiplayer like XCOM. And this is the most anticipated game for me by far. There's nothing else that I want more than this game right now, which is really weird because I think my hype is so high because I was not expecting this. I did hear leaks about a Rabbids Mario crossover, but I thought it would be like a Mario Party game, which we didn't hear anything about any Mario parties, which is really odd. But I was thinking like, okay, it's gonna be a bunch of mini games and Rabbids, and I was like, and then they bring it out and it's an XCOM type real-time strategy game, and it makes me want to go play XCOM until it'll launch. And I actually have some XCOM videos on the channel from a long time ago, but my mind was just blown. Yet they showed this off at the Ubisoft E3 actually, so that was 2 days ago. Or yesterday morning, and I was just blown away. Next game they talk about is they bring Rocket League in. Cool. I love Rocket League. I've played it on 4 different consoles, I think. And then I believe it's the end actually. They end the show with, well, who else but Mario? And they start off the trailer with, I'll pretty much just talk over this the rest of the time. They start the trailer off with a T-Rex. And then they start explaining, and this is the first time they've showed what you do in the game. They show a whole bunch of you jumping around, flying off buildings, and they show the hat. And they don't explain what the hat's for, other than, okay, it looks cool, and you see Mario a lot with his hat off, which is not normal, because in most games you never see Mario with his hat off. So all of a sudden, now in this trailer, they basically, in a second here, will show you take this hat, and it's a weapon. That's first and foremost. You use it for everything. It's going to be your next fireball. There is no more power-ups. There is no picking up a fire plant and then using that. And now you actually take the powers of NPCs in the game, or AI. So now Mario becomes a frog, and then he could jump higher. And Mario becomes a Goomba, and he can do these things. And Mario becomes a Koopa, and he can use a frying pan. Mario becomes a Bullet Bill, and he can fly around. And I watched the Nintendo Treehouse. They showed about 2 hours of gameplay. If you guys really, really are interested in this game and you don't mind a little bit of spoilers, go watch the Treehouse. You will lose your mind. They show so much great content. And, they spoil a little bit. They show some worlds that you probably obviously wouldn't see until the game comes out. But it is just, holy cow, just insane. And then, so you see these, they call them moons, and basically those are the stars of this game. So this is going to be the closest game we've gotten that is close to Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, where it's an open world and you run around and you go into different levels and you collect stars and you use them to unlock new places, unlock new things. So they're moons now, and you don't actually go to new places. You actually unlock different areas and you fly to them in the Odyssey, which is a giant boat that is actually a spaceship, which is super weird but kind of cool. And then you collect coins in different places. So there's 2 different currencies. 3. But there's 2 main currencies. There's your currency that you get, like normal coins, and then they have purple coins, which are they're not always coins, but they're purple objects, and they are the currency of the current island. So you can go to one place and it's a different currency. You go to a different place and it's a different currency. And what you can use that currency to buy is like outfits and things. And then you would use that outfits in this place where you can change into different cool outfits. You also get a home base inside the Odyssey, which you can add stuff to it. You can add cool little things to it. So I'm hoping that they have some sort of home building mechanic, which would be really fun in a Mario game. Let's see. And that's pretty much all of Odyssey. I don't want to ruin too much for you, but basically how it works is you take advantage of the NPCs in the area. So, like I said, for example, with Bullet Bill, there's the very first beginning of the Treehouse, they show off a lot of Mario Odyssey, and Bullet Bill is the main part of that actual because he is in the first big part of that reveal because he's in like one of the first levels, and you throw your hat at him, you take over, you possess the Bullet Bill, and then you can fly around, and then you run into things and they blow up, and then you turn back into Mario, and then you take over another one, and you can keep doing that over and over. And it's just so much, it opens up so much opportunity. Like I watched more of the Treehouse and there was different abilities. So everywhere you go, you're probably going to unlock 3 or 4 different abilities that you can use for different things and collecting coins and collecting these moons, which are like your stars. And the coolest thing I saw, which they won't show in any of these videos, but for me personally, every time you collect a moon, it has a date, which makes me super happy, which means there's some sort of catalog that has, well, you collected this moon this day, and you collected these moons that day, and then it has this super big catalog of all the moons you've ever collected. And that just makes me super happy. Like, I loved the original Mario when you went to a level again, and it showed how many moons you've gotten, and it shows, the next one that you're supposed to get in line, and it's just really cool, and they brought back, like, 8 coin collection, obviously, and things like that for moons. But most of them are just finding weird places in the game that you wouldn't normally find, which I thought was really cool. So I know it's a super long video. This is my reaction video strictly to the Nintendo E3 plus Ubisoft because they showed some Nintendo content. Overall, I was blown away. I can go over the Treehouse stuff really quick. The first thing it showed was they showed obviously Mario at the Treehouse. They showed that wasn't the first thing that was actually the second. So Mario was first, and then they were like, by the way, Reggie came on screen and he's like, yeah, we love Nintendo Treehouse. It's part of Nintendo. It's who we are. And then he's like, so we're going to show you some cool stuff. And he dropped a bomb on us. And I lost it because obviously today I have been under a lot of stress because there's so many dang good games coming out. And I don't have the money right now because I'm building a house and my wife and I are moving to a new house and all this. I got a new job and all this cool stuff. But holy cow, I was not expecting a new 2D side-scrolling Metroid game for the 3DS. I am psyched. That was really... They announced it. It's coming out this year. They announced it for the 3DS, and then they showed it. And that was crazy. And they showed an hour worth of gameplay. And they showed like 3 boss fights. And it was just crazy, and I'm super excited for it. I hope it's not a full $60 game because I don't think it's worth $60. I think it'll be more of like a shop game where you can go buy it on the Nintendo store. I don't think it should get a physical version because it looks, the graphics are older looking graphics. I mean, it's a 3DS game, so it probably will get a physical launch because the graphics aren't supposed to be great because it's 3DS. But I will be playing that game. You guys obviously won't see any footage of that because I don't have a capture card because I'm not spending $200 to capture my 3DS content. And that's why if you guys do watch my videos, and if you're still here right now, then you guys probably are, like big time listeners of my stuff. That's why I never came back. I said I was coming back, and I was going to try and bring you guys Sun and Moon content. I couldn't. I didn't want to spend the money on a 3DS capture card, and I just didn't have the time or the money to. Well, I didn't have the time to sit here and try and mod my 3DS to stream, and I didn't want to break it because it's brand new. And there's some games I still need to pick up. Like I need to pick up Fire Emblems, and then obviously the new Metroid game, the most recent Fire Emblems, which I believe it's Echoes. But that's off topic. E3, I'm stoked. Treehouse showed Metroid. They showed like an hour's worth of gameplay for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is going to be really cool because I never played any of those before. They also showed a whole bunch of Fire Emblems Heroes. Keep calling it Heroes. Fire Emblems Warriors, which I'm sort of excited for. I really like the Hyrule one, but we'll see. I'll probably pick it up. It looks cool. And then obviously ARMS comes out at the end of the week, so I'll probably pick that up, and then I'll be getting Splatoon, and then I'll be getting freaking Mario plus Rabbids, and I'm super excited for that game. You guys, if you are interested in that game at all, please look up the Treehouse. Please learn as much as you can about that game and just be psyched with me because that game is going to be awesome, and I really want to be able to play with you guys. And if you guys do want to get my friend code for Switch, and if you guys play Switch, I play Mario Kart all the time. If you guys want my information for Switch, please just leave a comment. I'll drop it in the comments. I'll probably put it in the description. Nah, I probably won't because I don't feel like looking for it, so leave a comment. I'll send it to you, or I'll drop it in the comments or something. But that's it, you guys. That's it. That was the craziest E3. I think that Nintendo won, but that's my personal belief. There was some crazy other things released at E3, but if I had to give an award, I would give it to Nintendo, because they just blew my mind with so many. No one thought everyone assumed Metroid was dead because they haven't came out with anything since M, which was like on the Wii, and that was 6-7 years ago probably now. And man, it blew my mind. And then with Rabbids coming and getting revealed on Monday, I didn't know what to think. I was freaking out. I didn't know what we were going to do, and I was so excited. And the fact that it's coming out so soon. It comes out in August. That's like 2.5 months away, and it comes out the 29th. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, there's so many good games coming out. I'm super stoked. I hope you guys are stoked too. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. If you guys aren't subs, which I'm assuming you're probably all subs, because, you know, you're subs. There's no way there's a random person right now in the world looking at this going, who is this guy? But if you are that person, please hit the subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. I make awesome content. I will be coming back to you guys with new content once I get some more stuff for the Switch, once I get a capture card. I'll probably do Splatoon stuff, because I don't think I'm going to get a capture card by the time between now, which is when ARMS launches in 3 days, between now and when Splatoon launches in the end of July. I don't think I'll have a capture card by then, because it's just super unlikely. But if I do, I'll bring you content. And I might do another like in-depth look at Rabbids or something, where I go over more about the strategy and like how the game looks, and maybe I'll review the entire trailer or the entire Treehouse. Maybe I'll do that for a couple games. Interesting. I could do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here. See you later. Until next time.